Sam, Kevin.
Not a lot, mate. Not a lot. I feel like it's been absolutely months since I've been on the pod. Been too busy celebrating my big birthday.
Was it a big birthday? You turned 30?
Aye. I wish it was 30, mate. I wish it was 30.
Congratulations, mate.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. I did get some Diet Coke in for you to, just in case you were able to turn it up last Saturday, but the 3 cans are still sitting there if you want to pop them, mate.
Well, remember, actually, the internet would have you know that I'm a Jakey member or something. An alcoholic.
Oh, well, that's right, aye. You're not sophisticated enough to drink Diet Coke. No doubt you'll be on Aldi's own version.
Yeah, it's funny, like...
Other Diet Cokes are available.
Yeah. Could have just stuck with calling me a wank. That's fine. Like, everyone, no one would disagree with that. Nobody disagrees with that, but...
That'd be nice.
The one famous thing about me is how absolutely dull and boring I am. And that is the constant theme that Hearts. Every week goes by that Hearts win. Everybody says to me, "Surely you're going to drink if Hearts win the league." That is all anybody's interested in. People are counting down the games just so that I can have a bevy.
I think that could be the greatest podcast we've ever done. We'll just record that for say 20 minutes and just see what happens.
It'll be live for Luckies. It'll last about 15 minutes and we'll get shut down and we'll never be able to podcast ever again.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, would we want to podcast ever again? You know, have we just is that no us peaked?
Nah, if we win the league, mate, we're getting up. So there you go. There's a promise to the Critchley's bitches group or whatever that they're on a campaign of hate to get rid of us. If we win the league, I promise you that it'll be the last year we're here for us. I'll never do this again. We'll get up. So anyway, what did you do for your birthday, Kev?
Quiet one with the family over a couple of days. And as I said, I invited Debray as an open sort of invite to family and friends to the house to have some food and some drinks. But then the real birthday was celebrated at the weekend. Went up to Dundee, which is alive. And we couldn't get into the pub because it was a Bollywood themed night and we did not fit in, we were told.
Bollywood?
Aye. And one of the nightclubs in Dundee, we were told it was Bollywood and we were not fitting in. So I don't know if that's because we had too much to drink. But we went round the corner, found somewhere else. Good.
Doesn't feel very inclusive of Dundee.
Very.
It doesn't feel very inclusive, does it?
It's not like them, you know. You thought it was like one of these places that Tam would love to go, you know, a bit hipster and all that kind of stuff, but clearly not the case.
No, Tam and his pals like to talk about being inclusive, but unless you sound like them, they don't speak to you. You're allowed to look different. You just have to sound like them. Oh well, Dundee is a very weird place, isn't it?
Yep, that'll never change.
Right. Obviously, we'll talk all things Heart of Midlothian. We played Saturday night, 8 o'clock on Sky Sports. We won 3-0 against Dundee United. We played against 9 men. We thoroughly upset Jim Goodwin, which makes it even sweeter than the 3 goals. I don't know what one I prefer. The fact that he's crying and upset or that we got the 3 points. We'll discuss all. We look forward to tomorrow. As we record this, it's Monday night. We'll look forward to a trip to Paisley. And then we'll discuss the transfer window that is closing in 2 hours. And all sort of Hearts movement in the window so far. Sum up the transfer window. And then, you know, we maybe have some bold predictions. If anybody's jumped off the pages, you feel it's going to be a star man to deliver the title to Gorgie. Sound good, Kev?
Sounds right up my street. Although to that latter point, I'm not quite sure yet. Let's put it that way, but we can talk about that later.
Well, let's go into news. Let's do news first, then, Kev.
Well, I mean, news is all around the January transfer window. I don't know about you, but I expected that all the dealings that we done, Altena coming in from Holland, Cheshnikov eventually arriving into Edinburgh, Mark Leonard, who I think has been an absolute revelation in the games that he's played so far. It looks very, very promising, very astute on the ball. Then of course Mato coming in last week, which I think is a cracking deal, given the fact that the chairman of the club wanted millions. Then he's now given away on a loan deal for the next 6 months, and then he'll just join us for free anyway. A little bit like the Stuart Finlay deal. But I think the craziest bit of talk around Heart of Midlothian and this January transfer window is what we've seen happen in the last 10, 12 hours with regards to James Wilson.
Yeah, I'm not sure many people had that in the Hearts bingo card today. Like,
no chance.
Nah, I'm not sure. I thought he would have maybe went out on loan, but not to Spurs.
No, I mean, as one of the guys said in another chat that I'm involved in, at the time, it was Arsenal that was being touted as a potential location. Some folk were saying, well, I expect him to go out on loan, but somewhere like Alloa, not Arsenal, which would be probably about the right case.
Wonder if I've been sending him pictures of like Braga or something. Being like, this is James Wilson, mate.
Well, potentially. Look, it's for the himself, it's a cracking move. I would expect that he doesn't go into any sort of first team lineup in any way, shape, or form. He'll be under 23s, I think, is what their league setup looks like. But he's going to learn. There'll be no doubt others at training that he'll connect with and learn from there. I suspect, or I know that the club have come out and said there is a potential option to buy after the 6 month loan. If that is the case, I guess the figures have already been discussed and agreed on both sides. From that point of view, it's a great move for him. I just find it very, very strange, given that he never really looked that great in a Hearts shirt. So, what do I know about football?
Fuck all. I think it's a brilliant move for him, to be fair. Like, well done, fair play to the wee guy. And again, a bit like the Kieran Bowie move as well. It's nice to see Scottish talent broadening the horizons rather than sort of Celtic and Rangers as the pinnacle of the game. It's nice that you see him moving on to what will be a much, much better facility and sort of programme than what he could have went, like you said, if he went to Alloa or wherever it is. You'll go play Premier League 2, I think they call it, down there. And absolutely fair play to him. Well done to Hearts. It's brilliant business. And again, it's probably another part of Jamestown that we'll have to get used to. In Tony Bloom's contact list and contact book, etc. These are the type of things that you'll see. What the English game's like. You've got Nottingham Forest happily looking to spend 25 million on Arnie Engels. It just shows you like the money down there is insane. So if they can pick up a young player that's got 45, 50 games under his belt now. He's got 10 or something goals, close to 8, 9, 10 goals, whatever it turns out to be. It's a loan deal and then a couple of £1 million in the summer. Like that's the type of business that they're going to be. It's no risk, little risk for them whatsoever. So fair play to the guy. I hope he goes down and gives a very good account of himself. He's a full internationalist now. 18 years old, he's still got absolutely years in the game. So yeah, fair play, good business all round.
Yeah, I mean it's you're right. It's good business from all parties. It gives him something. He's only 18, many years ahead of him, and an opportunity to progress, both as an individual but also as a football player, which is huge from that point of view. You touched on a really quite important thing there around the whole English football and how it's absolutely nuts with regards to values for transfer markets and everything else. What's crazier from your point of view, the fact that Nottingham Forest have offered £25 million for Engels, or the fact that Celtic have knocked it back?
For a guy, I think you talked to any, not turning that into a Celtic podcast, but I think you talked to any Celtic fan, they would be like, they'd bite your hand off for it. But again, that kind of a bit of a weird compliment to us that they're not selling them because they're worried that they need them to to win the title, which is quite funny. Yeah, they're giving up £25 million because they're scared that Hearts are potentially going to take their title off them or whatever. And no one's going to pay £25 million for Arnie Engels in the summer. Absolutely no chance. That figure will only be paid in a January transfer window because it's bananas. There's no way that will come. So, fair play for knocking it back. It suits us. One more jobber in the middle of the park for them is good for us. But it's one of the things actually, like, I was thinking about Kieran Bowie. I was thinking about Braga, Kizzy, James Wilson, these guys in the summer with the value. You look at Morgan Rogers at Aston Villa, other young English talent that break through into the English Premier League at a young age. They move for 30, 40, 50 million pound at that age, and it's good to see that Hibs didn't accept the low ball offer, that they didn't just accept money because money was there. And Motherwell as well, talking about not accepting any bids as it stands now for the boy they've got up front that's scoring all the goals. So it's good. Scottish football's in a healthy place when it comes to it. Don't let the doom and gloom mongerers tell you that the game's rubbish just because Celtic and Rangers are toiling. This has been the best Premier League season that we've probably ever had in our lifetime. You think about the top six currently, the games, the sort of subplots, the scenarios that could crop up as it stands right now. Falkirk, an unbelievable story. And it's funny that Hearts are the one club that are stopping pretty much all the headlines being like, Motherwell are phenomenal, ridiculous. The levels that they're reaching with Stephen O'Donnell and Paul McGinn at the back. And Falkirk, John McGlynn, and the way he's got his team playing, sitting comfortably in the top six, going toe-to-toe with Celtic, going toe-to-toe with us. They're a good outfit.
Yeah.
So Scottish football's in a good place.
Yeah, and it can only get better with much more competition. For those top 4 places in the itself. And what you've also got to remember, and you talk about Motherwell are closer to Celtic and Rangers than Celtic and Rangers are to us. Let that sink in.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's perfect as far as I'm concerned.
I've been enjoying the media. This is what we've been talking about it all season, and people might think that aren't Hearts fans that were crazy. But the media, there's 14 games left. If we extend our lead tomorrow to 9 points, it's 13 games left. If any of them drop points, we're at a point now where we have to lose 2 games and we would still be top of the league given our goal difference and our head-to-head. So essentially we have to drop points in 3 games. If we're drawing, it's 4, whatever the math works out to be. So we're running out of games, and it's funny that BBC ran a article last week talking about the lowest points tally that anybody's ever won the league before, and you're like, who had to win the league with 54 points and get 17 draws? I couldn't care less. Who actual cares? And it's simple math. If there's 3 teams in the title race when it used to be a 1-horse race and it's now a 3-horse race, the maths itself, it's pretty self-explanatory. Celtic got to 96 points and 92 points and 98 points because they were the only team in the league winning week in, week out. If you've got Rangers winning week in, week out, you have Hearts winning week in, week out, and you have Celtic winning week in, week out, and they're also beating each other, 70, 80, 82, 84 points is going to become the threshold. It's going to be the must-reach number to win the title. So it's funny that they're scrambling to try and diminish, look at your rubbish points total. And then I really did laugh on Saturday. They dug up Archie McPherson. Remember old Archie? He's been dead for about 40 years, and they dug him up so that he could remind us that he did the match day commentary in the 86 final day, the Albert Kid Day, and the 63 game where Kelly won the last game of the season. And I'm like, what article is that? good for you, but we'll get the cameraman for those games as well and see it. So the tact will change. It's already starting to change. Did you see the Daily Record on Sunday morning? So yesterday morning had a Daily Record hotline live or something like that, and they were talking about after the red cards and the game at Tannadice that referees need to declare what football team they support.
Yeah. Something that like every other team and every other fan outside of Glasgow would have been calling for the last 40 years or whatever. It just shows you, as you rightly say, the whole narrative has changed rather quickly, rather rapidly, because it's not one of the Glasgow two that are leading at this moment in time.
And if anybody is out there that doesn't or thinks that that's tinfoil hat stuff, I implore you, go and read Hugh Keevan's article before Hearts played Dundee United at Tannadice. I think it was on Friday, it might have been Saturday morning, his article in the Daily Record, where he basically said that we're a car crash waiting to happen, and that the balance of power has shifted in Glasgow to Rangers, and Rangers will win the league, mark his words, and they will win it by a country mile, is what he said in his article. So
continue to write that. I'm happy.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Write about on a Friday
in the dressing room.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. But that's where it's going to be. We drew with Celtic. His analysis of the Celtic game was that we couldn't beat a terrible Celtic team. Was his analysis of it, and so we're going to get that because they can't do Shankland to Rangers. They're going to do all of this type of stuff. They'll start to diminish what we do, start to downplay what we're doing. Lowest points tally to win a title. Archie McPherson dig out his old Albert Kidd t-shirt. It'll be fun. At least it's exciting.
Exactly that. It's a little bit like, there's no pictures on a golf scorecard, is there? If it comes in, it still says you're 6 under par or whatever. That 7 or doesn't make any difference.
That's
I'm
true.
Happy. I'll be happy if it's the lowest points ever and we win the league. Well, we don't exactly lose any sleep over it, and everybody else will. I mean, the only way I'll lose sleep is the fact that I've been out partying for 4 days, potentially 5.
No one cares. No one cares how we win it. If we win
watching you having a beer.
No, exactly that. The scenes in Gorgie will have Sky Sports News live. Corbett's supposed to see if he cracks open a beer. So, well, obviously we've got rid of James Wilson. We signed, I think since the last time we podcast, it's official, and we seen him on Saturday that Rogers Matto signed for the club. He said in his interview that he's going to be a legend, which I absolutely love. And he went for 74 as his number. Am I mental? Did Robert Snodgrass pick 74 or was he 73?
I think you're mental.
I think that was his.
Did he?
I think that was his number. Somebody in the comments will tell us. I'm sure it was 73 or 74. It was, but this is mental to say, right? But one of the guys, so Islam Chesnikov, is now in like a mini pre-season. As we said last week, club concerned about his condition, how he showed up. He had his cameo versus Falkirk, and his cameo versus Matto's cameo on Saturday, although 10 minutes or whatever, he showed for the ball constantly. He wanted the ball always. He was drifting all the other part, trying to get on the ball, trying to get involved. He looks absolutely rapid, which looks class. He made runs that never got picked up because by the time he came on, we were in party mode. We were all laying and singing that we were going to win the league, which is the worst thing that we've ever done in our life. No one's ever going to clip that and back to us. I was sitting up at the back like, oh, no.
And I can tell you that individual, Robert Snodgrass, chose 77.
Oh, I knew it was something stupid. I knew it was some daft number like that. But I was really impressed. It was only 10 minutes, but he looks like he's going to be a player, Kev, doesn't he?
You're right. He did. I thought he looked a bit nervous at times. Trying to beat players just to. But as you rightly say, he came on with 8 minutes to go, 10 minutes to go, whatever it was. The game was already dead, and from that point of view, I don't think we can take a great deal from it. But positive signs, as you rightly say, from the point of view, he was looking for the ball. He wanted the ball at his feet. and he looks like the kind of player that I think will excite the fans, and that's what we've really accepted and taken on board with guys like Kizzy, with Braga. They want to run at players, run at defences, and he looks in that same sort of mould.
Yeah, he looks exciting, and I like that. It's been anybody that's stood next to me in the last 4 games, I've been tearing my hair out at why everybody is obsessed with nutmegs in our team. That is all Braga, Kizzy, Mato. Everybody tries to is the wee cutback peg constant, and I'm like, stop it. Braga and Kizzy beat their man and go back to peg them, and I'm like, stop it, just put the ball in the box. If they put the ball in the box, Kabori could have had 2 hat-tricks on Saturday. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the actual game later. But I know, how would you rate the transfer window, Kev?
I think it's been positive, right? A lot of our business was done early. We knew about Cheshnikov coming in. Okay, it's taken a bit of time for him to actually get into the starting lineup, and now he's on this mini pre-season. But Kajota was exactly the same, and for the cameos, let's class it as we've seen of Kajota over the last 2 or 3 weeks, he has, in my opinion,
I love Kajota.
I think he looks a lot stronger for the way in which McInnes and the background team have actually supported him. He does look very, very good on the ball, and that you could look upon it as another new signing, effectively, because we're going to see probably a lot more of him over the next 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, I really like the look of Kajota. Do you know what I really liked, Kev? And this is maybe putting 2 and 2 together and getting 6 right, but we wanted a right back, signed the right back immediately, so that we, what was it, 2 days after the transfer window opened, he was in and playing against Livingston. We'd identified the right winger. We knew that he was here within a pre-contract tied up, so we could have him day 1 of the January transfer window opening. We had setbacks in midfield where injuries with Benny and Devlin, and within 2 days signed a midfielder to come in, hit the ground running. We'd identified that actually we could probably do with some more width with Chesney. Isn't he fit? Isn't he where he needs to be? Then we need someone in there that can do it. We went and got Mato. We signed in Hingweed Finlay, got that sorted and overline. And we've been so measured in what we're doing, identifying and bringing in quality. Like Mark Leonard has slipped into that team like he's played for Hearts for 10 years. He's dictating play, he's creating chances, he's winning the ball back. He's been influential as a Benny or Devlin in there in the last 2 games. Bit of a shaky start, but grew into the game against Celtic, and he was absolutely fantastic against Dundee United on Saturday. And you can't help but mirror that way. We're now 9:30 on Monday night. Celtic are random signing loan players for here, there and everywhere, chucking shit at a wall and hoping that it sticks. Rangers have kind of done the same thing. Their new Brian Laudrup played on Sunday versus Hibs and looked absolutely dug meat. And I think that the more measured, calculated and deliberate we seem to be in the transfer window, the more it seems to put them on the back foot, the more scattergun they've become.
Yeah, definitely highlights a number of aspects in regards to both of them. I'm hearing that somebody that they were looking to actually sign has failed his medical. I think they were pinning a lot of hopes on this guy, so it looks like he will not be signing. But yeah, I mean, and as you rightly say, an hour and a half left of the transfer window, I would say we've wrapped up. We're not going to be doing anything further. I know that McInnes was quite keen to try and get another striker in. He looked at this boy from the 3rd tier in France, and I believe that team were effectively holding us to ransom. So we just turned our backs on them and said, no, we're not going to deal in that kind of way. This is the offer. If you're not willing to accept it, then we move on. That's fine, because yes, you've got a number of different options that can play through the middle. And Shankland, I know from his conversation and his interview on Saturday night, it sounds like he is possibly still 6 weeks away from fitness. But you know, you look at who we've got. We've got different kinds of players now as well. It's not all about getting the ball into feet. Sometimes we've got physical presence up front, which is something we've not had for a long time.
I think Bori's performances have softened that need to go get a striker. I think that we were in a position where we're thinking, right, if he doesn't settle in the team, probably going to need to get a striker ASAP. But I think his performances, the last two games, two different types of performances. We'll talk about the performance on Saturday. Were different. You know, the one against Celtic, we were asked them to go and do, and that's what we kind of spoke about it last week. But again, it's one to remember that this guy's not from Scotland. He's not grew up playing that type of football. You know, kicking the ball up in the air and chasing it and constantly having to look up and win headers and hold the ball. That's nothing to do with how he's learned how to play football. You know, he's adapted to that. You can see he's picked up so much from Shankland. He does all of the hard yards. He does all of the dirty running. He does all the showing for it, making runs where he was dead on his feet on Saturday because he never ever stopped running. And that was like, you've seen that from him against Celtic, and then you're asking him to be like, right, you did the dirty side of the game well, you did the selfless side of the game well, like you do the hard yards for the team, and then on Saturday he showed that he's a goal threat. You know, he will take chances. He should have had a hat-trick. This keeper says it's a save, but he's smashed him in the face. That was a brilliant header. Smashed him in the face. He's unlucky. My only real criticism of him was this kind of lazy, nonchalant, the double save from the goalkeeper. I mean, it's about the only real criticism from Saturday that I have, but everything else was spot on. So I think that softened the need to go find a striker.
Yeah, and as I say, you know, you brought in Mato as well, who could potentially play through the middle. Cheshnikov, for what you've seen of him against Falkirk, yeah, okay, there was little bits that maybe didn't feel great as such or look great. You can still see he's got a physical presence. You can see how quick he is. You know, so there's a number of factors to also bring into the way in which we can play. And McInnes is clever enough himself to understand that you can't always play this, you know, the same way. You can't play football exactly the same way week in, week out. There are times where you do need to make a change. You do need to put something else out on the park because you need to keep other clubs and other teams, you know, thinking and second guessing themselves as to what sort of team he's going to put out. So yeah, from that point of view, altogether, it's a really, you know, positive transfer window. You've also got to say that, you know, there's a couple of boys have went out as well. I know they've all been, you know, Khartoum was very much fringe. I think he was only picked in a match day squad twice, maybe, under McInnes. So the right move is for him to move on. So he's way down to the A-League, is it? They call it in Australia, yeah. Playing for a New Zealand team.
Scored a belter,
He did. Look, I'm not going to lie, right? I didn't mind him. I know, you know, I think he gave us a different element under the last sort of regime, let's put it. However, you knew perfectly well he wasn't going to be, in my opinion, a McInnes kind of player. Given the fact that I don't think he was quick enough, I don't think he was strong enough at times. But all in all, I thought he was, he did play his part at times last season, but this season was going to be a different level, and I don't think he was the player to take that step.
Yeah, and I think it's been from a Hearts perspective, it's been a very, very good transfer window for us. I think we've identified areas, we've strengthened in those areas, and I understand the sort of desire to keep up and carry a big squad because you don't want to be left short in a run-in. You know, if we're chasing a title or whatever, you don't want to leave yourself short. So I think we've been very successful. It's a very good transfer window from us. Right, Kev. Transfer window done and dusted. Looks like Hearts business is done for tonight. Let's talk all things Saturday. So you got kicked out of a Bollywood night out. Where then did you go? What establishment did you frequent?
So we frequented quite a few. We were up early, up into Dundee. We got the 1:30 train, so we were up there pretty early. a few different establishments were taken into account. Ended up in that, is it White's Bar, top whatever it's called, Provost Road, I think it's called.
It's
So
been
ended up
what
in
an inclusive night it was for you, Kev. First you weren't, you didn't fit in with the Bollywood night, and then you went to a White's Bar. Aye,
went to White's Bar, mate. I know.
Kev.
So we were in there pre-game, as well as I say, in the town or the city itself. So I in there met a few old faces actually. I'd seen a couple of guys at games for a while, so nice to see other faces than the normal crowd that you see in bars round about Gorgie, which was good. And don't ask me where we were in after that. We were in some bar that was absolutely brilliant because we got 9 drinks for under 20 quid, which is unheard of in Edinburgh, that's for sure.
100%.
So for that point of view, it was a good night out. I think we retired back to the hotel at like 3 a.m., which for a man of 50 years of age, I think that was pretty damn good going. And there was no hangover or anything like that on Sunday morning. So I think I might have peaked in my life.
That's it. It's all downhill for you, Kev. So we told you earlier that I've cracked how to know how I can go through a game and no look at my shoes.
Well, I didn't know if you wanted to bring this up, but you carry on.
Why not, Kev? Why not? It's fun. So I had to take days off my work because I have liquid pouring out of my other part of my body that's not the front but the back. I've been ill all week and I thought I'd go over it. And I picked my dad up and we got an unreasonable distance away from the house when I was like, oh no. oh no, I do not feel good. So I was like, right, we're all right. We've got an hour to Dundee. You're a grown up now, Liam. You're 40. Hold it in like an adult. You'll be able to. You go to a bowling club, you'll be absolutely fine. So I was like, right, sound. Got to the bowling club. There was 3 toilets in said bowling club. None of them had a toilet seat, and none of them had toilet roll. So I was like, absolutely sensational. Luckily, the place was bouncing, so I just distracted myself by singing heart songs. Then walked to the ground. I was like, I'll go in the ground. Got to the ground. There's no cubicles. I was like, yes. I was like, fantastic. About 25 minutes into the second half, I genuinely was contemplating backing up to a urinal like that. I was thinking, there's no way I can't survive. I cannot survive. I'm gonna have to back up to the urinal and just apologise to everybody. But luckily, Hearts decided to win 3-0. So, and then it occurred to me when I was in the car on the way home, still clinging on for dear life, that I never once looked at my shoes or hid myself in my hood. There was a few moments where I looked down like that, but I wasn't sitting full hood up. So
I do have to ask the question though. Did you watch the penalty?
No chance. That's not how
okay.
you know how that works.
Aye,
I did not. And I've also cut my hand on the rusty roof because I was hanging off the trussets or whatever they're called. I was up hanging off there singing the Barcelona song. So that was fun. But there you go. So everybody, that's what I have to do tomorrow now for St Mirren. I'm gonna have to be absolutely clinging on for dear life to make it. But that's unfair on Dundee United. There was a cubicle, but it didn't have a toilet in it. So that was fun.
What a random thing to have.
I had a seat in it. I had the cubicle, and then just like a seat like they would sit in at school. And I was like, oh, is that what they did in Dundee, is it?
With a hole cut in the bottom?
I was like,
I'm going to say I want to picture this better, but I don't want to know about it. I'm not going to lie.
So at points I could have. I was contemplating getting Tupperware or something at the kiosk or something, a wee pie tube or a cola bottle or something, because I was like, oh my god, I'm going to die. But we managed it. We managed it, and Hearts got 3 points. So there we go.
Look, if that's what you've got to put yourself through for 3 points every week, I think you would do it.
I'll do it for the cause, Kev.
Aye, that's what we want to hear.
Right, pre-game starting 11. What was there anything jumped off? Was that weird for you, or?
I don't think anything jumped off the page. I know there's always going to be a who plays in goals situation. I think Scholl is the best, is the better option.
It has to be.
Aye. Of course it is. You know, you've seen how he performed on Saturday. Okay, they didn't offer a great deal up front, but he commands his box. He can.
The ball at his feet, Kev.
Yeah.
The ball at his feet, right and left foot. He just makes everybody feel better. And 9 times out of 10, he hits a man. No matter times he hit Kabore or he hit Kizzy or he hit Braga, and that's such a huge difference. Now, Gordon is brilliant at shot stopping, 100%. Right, we know that. But now the dust is settled and you watch it back, he shouldn't be beat for the Nigan free kick. He's too good a goalkeeper to be beat by that. And the cutback, I have no idea why he doesn't cut that out.
Aye.
Yeah, I watched him in the game. He stuttered and he was indecisive. He kind of looked like he was going to come in and didn't, and then just stayed still and yanked. Yeah,
puts pressure on your back four, or especially your 2 centre halves anyway. So no, I agree with that, and I think everything else picks itself at the moment, due to injuries, due to suspensions, and also down to the fact that the guys who are being selected in that starting 11 are actually performing. So from that point of view, I wasn't surprised to see with regards to anything at all, because we'd got caught out with Steinvender at right back against Celtic.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't think anything from that starting 11 on Saturday night was any different to what I expected to see.
Yeah, true. And I'm going to keep going back to the point that it's such a, I don't know what the right word is, but it's such a good feeling that I didn't care what the starting 11 is. This team has had more than enough to be trusted. It's a completely different vibe to our team now. You look at, we've been asked questions over the last 3 or 4 games, all different types of questions. Could you show resiliency after being a man down for 45 minutes back to the wall against Dundee? And we approached that game completely different to how we approached the St Mirren one. We went flat back 5, basically said, we don't think that you'll score, so keep the ball, put it into the box, we'll defend it, and we'll hit you on the counter. And we were comfortable in it until, like you said, the wonder save in the very last second. Following me down to 10 at home, onus is on us to go and assert ourselves on the game, go and try win the game. You go down to 10 men after 12 minutes and you win the game 2-0, going on 4. Is a totally different question, and you pass it with absolute flying colours. You're then a goal down at home to Celtic 8 minutes into a game where you're at home, you have to show resiliency to come back. You could crumble there easy, the pressure, all that sort of stuff. You don't. You go in and then you leave that game unhappy that you've not won. And then, like tomorrow, we play first. So we have the opportunity to go and puff our chest out and put the ball in their court and say, well, we've done what we need to do. You now go and can you deal with the pressure of being X amount of points behind us? And we didn't just win the game. We absolutely dominated the game. We played with real swagger. We could have, and the thing that I loved, Kev, was I woke up on Saturday morning, everybody will have seen all the videos of the pitch and the stories, what's going on and all that sort of stuff. And just as an FYI, there's some absolute crank on Kickback pretending to be the boy that works at Tynecastle as a groundsman, which is insane. Some of the stuff they were posting and saying could get the said groundsman in trouble for his job. So again, it's just one of those things that comes with the territory, Kickback and crazy folk pretending to be someone else. But Jay, the groundsman, or whatever the account is on Kickback, it's not Jay. It's not Jay, and actually report it to the admins or whoever it is to get it taken down, because it's a young guy that's doing his job that doesn't need that pressure, getting into trouble from Hearts, because Hearts do look at Kickback, they do read Kickback. So that was pathetic. We all seen that stuff. But at points on the game on Saturday, I was actually thinking, terrible pitch Saturday night. This is banana skin territory. I wouldn't mind if this gets postponed. You've got a game in hand with potentially Devlin or Shanklin could be back. It was one of those things. But actually, when I listened to Dell He was like, no, we want the game. We want to play the game. We'll play in anywhere. We'll play in any type of pitch because we believe we'll win. And I actually firmly believe that had the game been postponed, Rangers probably pick up 3 points on this Sunday. You know what I mean? Close the gap to 1. That psychological difference of actually saying, no, we're here. We want to play. We'll play you anywhere. We'll beat you anytime. Was really good seeing. I thought we played like that, Kev. I felt you could feel that we knew we were there to get the job done.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mentioned earlier on, the astute signing of Mark Leonard has been a revelation. I know there was a bit of chat about, do you start tomorrow night's game, for example, in exactly the same setup? Potentially you do. You don't want to change that. You don't change that winning formula. But he looks very assured on the ball. I like the way he operates. I like the way he's happy to take the ball in small spaces, then play it. He's got the ability to play that pass, to make that movement. He understands. It'll be interesting to see what he does look like in the games coming up. Maybe with a Benny beside him. Potentially, of course, with Aju beside him as well. There's so many options. There's so much that's there. But I thought on Saturday, I thought the way he played the game on Saturday was very, very assured, which was great to see. Then, as you rightly say, the rest of it. I know that Kizzies came out after the game and said that the pitch was heavy. It was difficult, but I thought we adapted really, really well inside that first 15 minutes. Yes, we're 1-0 up. I thought Milne does great. Probably done what is quite a heavy side of the park, but everybody everybody put themselves about and, as you say, got on with it, knew what had to be done, 3 points in the bag and down the road without any injuries, which was another one, because that's the other side of that, playing on that kind of pitch, is injuries can come into it as well.
Yeah, and it was impressive the way we went about the game. And listen, the red cards are red cards because we put them in those positions. We put them under constant pressure. They couldn't get out. The first opening 10, 15 minutes up until the goal were a bit scrappy and bits as people try to adjust to the park, but you could see the total difference in approaches. They were just hoofing it long. They just didn't want the ball on that surface at all. That's bread and butter to Halkett and Finlay, but we were the opposite. We're going to get it done when we can get it done, and we're going to put it into the channels and make you run facing your own goal on that pitch. Do you know what I mean? And that's we get the first goal from there. We get the penalty from there. The one thing I would say, this is a bit of a tangent right now, but I feel like it's the right thing to do. We've had Rangers making statements, we've had Celtic making statements. I would like Hearts to make a statement on refereeing. The referee standing right in front of the first challenge gives nothing. It's the biggest, it's the most Stonewall red card that you'll see. In today's day and age, I'm not saying that it's a horror challenge like Benny's or whatever, but this day and age, that's a red card. And the referee misses it in real time. It looked a shocker at the ground, which is mental. The penalty from the other side of the ground, I was like, that's a penalty. Like, he's quite clearly in the box and I'm miles away. And then when you see it again, all right, he's not quite clearly in the box, but he's in the box. His foot's on the line when the challenge is made.
Yep.
And the referee's there again, doesn't see it, doesn't give it, which is crazy. I just felt that he gets, I don't know what the right hand if they just don't referee because they feel that they have VAR there as the safety net, or they're just really just no very good. There's times in the second half as well, Kev, where we get a corner and the referee's overruling it to give a by kick. And I'm like, the linesman is there. He's right in front of it and gave the corner, and you're getting it as a bit. Why are you getting involved?
Aye. To go back to that point, I think it is, and I've stated this before. I think VAR needs to be there has to be a minimum level of what is required. And I know we've spoke about this before, both on the pod and off it. So I do think there's that element. But I do think that is the problem. I think referees in this country, potentially other countries as well, I mean, I don't care I don't look at even the Premier League in England. But admittedly, they've got 55 different camera angles, etc., etc.
And they still get it wrong, Kev. The Tottenham goal yesterday in Man City, it's quite clearly a free kick. The boy kicks the guy's foot that kicks the ball, that puts the ball in the net.
Aye.
Mental.
It's just, there are all these things. It's the fact that referees have, I think, that safety net. So they just do not do the job that they were doing 10 years ago. And I know perfectly well that 10 years ago, there were still challenges, there were still situations in games that were wrong, but I genuinely don't think there were as many controversial ones, if you know what I mean. Ones that have been, identified and clearly wrong in so many cases. You can go back this season through just even Scottish football. The Motherwell versus Rangers game at Ibrox. How's that not a handball?
Nah.
There's a number of them, right? But I think all in all, there's just that element of, I don't have to be 100% committed here because I've got a backup.
Right. I think that's what Rangers and Celtic do. They put pressure on the officials, and I know that the decisions have went our way, but if there wasn't a VAR, that's not the first one's not a red card, and we don't get a penalty. Both of them are pretty clear incidents where you can't get them wrong in real time. And then the other one, what does he have to smash Mark Leonard's nose off? Does he have to Duncan Ferguson an actual proper? He literally puts his head towards him, whether he touches him minusculely or bursts his cheekbone. It doesn't matter. You can't do that. So the next time I see Jim Goodwin in the pub, I go up and push him out the way with my head. You're telling me he's not going to think that I've tried to stick the nut in him and he wants to fight me? He's a grip. Get a grip. Do you know what I mean? It's embarrassing that the reaction to that is if Mark Leonard should stay there and had his nose burst open or whatever. The boy stupidly shoved his head towards him, whether it's full contact or minimal contact. It's a red card. It's the worst appeal I've ever seen.
So there's two elements to that, right? And there's that element of people can be theatrical, whether that's on the park, as in in the halfway line, or it's in the box. That theatrical dive to win a penalty. If it's a foul, it's a foul, as you rightly say. If he's put his head towards, where does it have to stop? And that's the rules of the game nowadays, right? That's just the way it is.
You're not allowed to do it.
However, here's the other side of that coin. If that was at Easter Road yesterday, and somebody did that to a Rangers player,
well,
the Daily Record and various other
those ones
would be going absolutely off their Geppetto. Same with it. It'd be exactly the same in the situation with the Falkirk Celtic game. It would be exactly the same thing. So
I get it's a bit I can understand the argument for the first one, right? If that's where the argument wants to be, because it's not endangering the player. You see this type of challenges all the time. The studs on there quite clearly up. I think it's a red card, right, by this day and age. But if there was an argument, then that's the one that you have the conversation about. Is that tackle there? The Trusty red card is as Stonewall a red card as you see. The arguments are ridiculous against it. It's stupid. You have to take out the fact that you have to imagine that the Trusty tackle doesn't happen because he's impeded the player. So would he have got a shot away if Trusty doesn't touch him? Obviously, he would have. 100% he would have. And you cannot push your head towards another player's face. It doesn't matter whether you make contact or not. Everything after the fact doesn't matter. Yeah, it's theatrical. Yeah, he makes the most of it or whatever. But the thing to get outraged about or to focus on is the fact that, one, you were already 10 men. You're already 2-0 down. You've came on as a sub. Why are you even doing that? Why are you chucking your teammates and your team under the bus for what? A silly argument about getting the ball back.
And how many times have we spoken about it? Watch other, the players' reactions. We've spoken a number of times, both in the pub or on here. Watch the reaction of two of the other United boys. They know perfectly well.
They know what's happened.
Yep, they know exactly what's happened. One of them, I couldn't tell you what the boy's name is pushing him away. He actually shoves him out the road to have another go, whether it's at Leonard or whether it's another Hearts player or the referee or whatever. But his player is actually telling him, get away, you have done wrong. That is a big telltale sign as far as I'm concerned.
And it upset Jim Goodwin. That's all I care about. That is all I care about. And I'd like
And
actually
Dave
like and Dave Bowman too. But I would like I don't know if he's done press today or if he'll do press tomorrow. Well, I suppose he would have had to have done press today. I've not seen fully all of it. I would have. Wait, I've got a sneeze, Kev. I would have liked McInnes to address. Excuse me, everybody. McInnes was obviously in the dugout trying to fight Fotheringham or whoever it was for his reaction to the Celtic opening goal. I thought Jim Goodwin's interview after the match was despicable. The one that he gave to Radio Scotland. I think it was disgusting. Calling the integrity of Mark Leonard into question when his players clearly tried to headbutt him. I'd like Derek McInnes to bring that up, to say, I'm disappointed in Jim. I expected him to phone me and apologise after he's listened to himself back and composed himself or whatever. Because I thought his interview after the game was pathetic, especially when like Ryan Stevenson, John Rankin, whoever the other guy is that does was on the radio. I can't remember. He's really annoying. I can't remember what his name is. But they were like, I would tell him that he'll never play for this club again. Like, he's let the thing. They were like so vehement in the fact that it was such a disgusting act, and have him come out and say the stuff he did was pathetic. So, but anyway, get up Dundee United. That was my wee tangent. Just about refereeing. But the referee again had a bit of a shocker, and it benefited us and we won. So now's the time, so that it's no sour grapes or people saying we're only saying it because we didn't win. I thought last week against Celtic, the referee got it wrong. He booked Trusty. If we didn't have VAR, he would have stayed on the pitch. We potentially don't equalise. And now this week here, we don't get the first red card and we don't get a penalty with VAR. And they're all three of them are absolute clear and obvious errors. Do you know what I mean? The one decision he got right was the red card for the headbutt because he seen it in real time. He was right there and seen it.
He was right next to him.
You missed it.
I mean, the one with the penalty, his foot's on the line. I couldn't see it from where I was at the other end of the park. But that had nothing to do with the fact that I was, 120 yards away. It was to do with the fact I was steaming and I couldn't see 10 yards in front of me, never mind anything else. But, at the end of the day, that's what you're expecting your referee to do. Your referee should be there, knowing exactly, got to keep up with play. All that kind of stuff has got to come into it. And yes, there will be occasions where they get it wrong and VAR should be there. But we're getting to that point now where VAR is actually overruling so many decisions because of the poor quality of our referees in this country. It's as simple as that.
You can tell Braga's reaction. He was pointing to where his footprint was on the line. So, yeah, I that was the only thing I'd say about the outcome of what's happened on Saturday was Hearts start highlighting the fact that, we went all this time without VAR in any controversy. Dundee, St Mirren, Celtic, and now Dundee United, all of them have had VAR jump in for something. And then
you go back to that trusty one. You go back to the trusty one. The ball is going towards goal. If you take that back 2 weeks previous to that, the ball's going away from goal, but they still want to. They still send off the Hearts keeper. They still say swallow off. So there you go.
I've said that, Kev, if it was the other way about, if he sends Trusty off, if he sends Trusty off and then is told to go to the monitor and downgrade it to a yellow or whatever, that I can kind of understand. But there's 4 criteria for denial of a clear goal scoring opportunity, and every one of them happened in that, and he booked them in real time. That's fundamentally wrong. That's the error there. That's the thing that's like, holy shit, how did you get that wrong? Do you know what I mean? So anyway, we won, but it was just now that we've won is the time to bring up the fact that, just so that we're aware, we have been on the end of VAR for 4 games in a row now. Now that it's the turn of the year, now that we're heading towards the business end of the season, VAR is heavily involved in our games. Yep. So there we go. Bye. So no surprises with the starting 11. I thought that we it was great to have McEntee back, and I thought McEntee and Magnussen were great folly for Leonard. I thought Dick sat in that 6 and just dictated play, which was class to see. And Magnussen and McEntee went about winning the ball back and getting it forward. I thought that it was a really accomplished performance from Hearts, a real swagger performance.
Yeah, definitely. I'm still not Magnussen's biggest fan, but I think what you say about the way he operated alongside McAtee was huge.
Yeah,
3 big, strong physical guys that were doing the hard work, as you rightly say, to allow Leonard to sit there in the 6, dictate how we were going to play things. But again, coming back to what I said earlier, he's got the eye and the ability to make the pass.
Yep, and
Something
I think
the other 2 6s they don't have. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say again, it's another feather in the cap to our manager as well of understanding that Dundee United were going to try and be very direct and go long. So you need, Finlay and Halkett are great at winning headers. So you need someone in there to win the second balls, get the ball back, protect the ball, get the ball moving, and McEntee and Magnussen in there to then give the ball to Leonard, who can diag to Kizzy or Braga hitting a channel, etc., or slipping Milne or slipping Altena as they get down the line. I think we had Dundee United sussed from minute 1 of the game, and you could see that. I think that the first goal is everything why Harry Milne's been superb, Mr. Utility Man all season long, but he's a left back. You get the absolute best out of him. When he plays left back, that relationship with Kizzy is great. That we need that. And I think on that right hand side, if we can get like Altina and Mato or whoever to start developing that relationship as well, that'd be class to see. I think that might be the only change we see tomorrow. I think you might see Steinwender as right back, given the physicality of St Mirren, the height of St Mirren, the way that they like to play. You might see they'll maybe play him there and maybe bring Altena on later in the game. But it was a real swagger performance. First goal's brilliant. I can't talk enough about Kabore. I thought his all-round play on Saturday was absolutely brilliant, and actually his teammates had did him a bit of a favour. He would have had a hat-trick on Saturday.
I can't disagree with that. I think he's a handful. He's athletic. He's able to, cover, as much ground in the park as possible. I think, as you rightly say, I think the more, and I never thought about it until you mentioned it earlier on, but I think the more that he gets used to the game of in Scotland, the better he will become. As you rightly say, he's never, he's not somebody who's been brought up on our type and our style of football.
Yep.
However, he knows perfectly well that if he's got Milne hitting the byline, Kizzy hitting the byline and pulling that ball back, just be there, 6-yard box.
Yep.
Boom, thanks very much. Because he's got something that Shanks doesn't have. Shanks has got in my opinion, has got the brain to know where to be and when to make that run. Whereas Kabore maybe doesn't have that element about him, but he has the strength and he has the dominance over other centre halves to be able to actually get there. But on Saturday's first goal, he's there, he's at the front, he's in and about it, and he's beating the defender at the ball. Simple as that.
Yeah, and there's loads of wee bits as well, like his touch when it looks like it's maybe going away from him. Some of the long balls that were hanging to him, and he was bringing them down brilliantly, and immediately facing the defender up. Like he didn't just control the ball and then immediately hit it back to Leonard or wherever. He took the ball down and on the half turn, faced their goal, tried to run into a channel, tried to do something, which I really liked. Like I think that we all have that opinion of, because he is build and how big he is, etc. You think target man, but actually he's not a target man. That he's so much more than just a target man. And I think that another 90 minutes, 2 goals. I think you'll see him tomorrow. I think you'll see a player with bags and bags of confidence. I think that it'll help massively that Kizzy get a goal as well. Kev, there's nothing to no trust about this team. Like, I know we've said it before in that, but like How many players have we seen that have come to the shores of Scotland that have all the technical ability? You know, they look brilliant, technically good on the ball, good touch, etc., but don't want rough and tumble, don't want a centre half up their arse. They don't want every second touch to be a tackle, and they just stop engaging, stop trying, because it's just not what they came for. They didn't want it. They didn't want the ball like that. Kabore has the potential, reminds me a bit of like the Ellis Sims type guy as well. Like he's happy to bring the ball down and charge on with a defender on him. Like if it's a foot race or a strength test, he's more than capable. And I think the only thing that we were probably all looking to see was that he could take a chance, you know, because it's great to do all that running about, and we like Shanklin last season was doing all that running about and no scoring, and we're like, just stay still and score, because we don't care about the running about. So when you can add the goals, then you start to see the all-round ability and the all-round player. So that was the good thing for me from Dundee United on Saturday, was that he got a goal and then he got a second goal. And to be honest, I've said it and I'll keep saying it, if his teammates would actually pass the ball to him, he could have had a hat-trick. You know, I think of Carjota's volley at the end, he could have cut that back. Braga, when he beat the man and then tries to score at the near post, Kabore is literally by himself in the penalty spot. Kizzy cut inside a couple of times and launched it over the bar. Like, there was loads of opportunities where it could have been slid in for an opportunity. So hopefully those relationships will flourish in that as well. Braga is Braga, and Kizzy, like I said, scoring. Hopefully we can see him be more impactful than what he's been, and that's crazy saying, consider what he's got, 6 goals and 7 assists this season, which is no mean feat. Like,
yeah, and I think what you've also got to remember is Kizzy brought it up in his interview after the game on Saturday. It's all about confidence, right? Loads of confidence in that team, and that's why when they got into certain positions, because they're confident that they're going to score, they've taken those opportunities rather than, as you rightly say, maybe look at the better option. Because it's, you know, at the end of the day, it's all about the actual team getting it, you know, over the line. When you are 2 or 3-0 up and you're playing against 10 men, 9 men, you can understand why at certain times your decision making becomes a little bit more, you know, personal. It's a little bit more, I want to score here because I want to boost my confidence even further. But as you rightly say, opportunities could have been actually made a hell of a lot better. You know, winning 3-0, 4-0, 5-0 is much better than anything. So I get where you're coming from, but I can also understand it from the player's point of view.
How drunk did you think you were when you seen Craig Halkett hitting free kicks for 25 yards?
I actually thought somebody had maybe actually dripped someone else in my drink.
I spiked you or something now. That's like, it's insane. But I do like it.
I need to record this. So my nephew actually recorded that whole bit just so that he had it for posterity, and that way he can go back and have a look at it again in like 6 months or 6 years' time, going, oh, actually, that did happen.
And you, just to go back to a point that you said there, because I heard loads of people saying it, and I can't remember, the guy's name's Renton. He had a comment on the BBC, and I'm like, you're not a Hearts fan. He said something about that it was a terrible performance on Saturday, and we had to be more clinical or something like that. And I was like, you are at it. That is not a real opinion. I actually had the opposite view. We were wasteful in the game, but do you know what I loved the most, Kev, is that we were never losing that game. The confidence and the assurance that we knew we'd won. The team just stopped. They were like, it's minging weather, minging pitch. We've got the job done. Just didn't do anything daft. Just see out the game. Like, it was. And it was nice that you seen, like, when Azure came on and Mato came on, it was like they were desperate to get a goal. Carjota was desperate to get a goal. Kabore was desperate to get his hat-trick. But it was just assured, and we were just completely happy and fine to see out the game. And if we got another goal, fine, you know. But the job was done. The job was done. You know, the message for the start was 3 points in home. That's what we did. And actually, just reminded me that the Azure header, that's a penalty on Steinbinder as well. Like, the guy's got a holiday on, pulling him back, directly impacts his shot on goal. I know it's like the 93rd minute or whatever it is, but he makes no attempt to win the ball. But
I get it. I get where you're coming from. Let's be honest, we've seen softer penalties given this season. So from that point of view, I get where you're coming from. I thought the two of them were at it, because the Steinbender pulls him as well. There's a bit of that. But, I think you're right. It's 3-0, it's 3 points, no injuries, get them back down the road and then concentrate on tomorrow night.
Yeah, and that's what I thought we did really, really well. It was just the confidence of the team, and it should be lost on anybody that's without Benny, Devlin and Shankland. Remember that pre-Celtic game, this was supposed to derail the season. Touchwood. Those three key players being out was supposed to derail the season. If anything, I love Shankland's comments after the game, saying there's no guarantee I get back in the team if people are scoring goals, and that is why it's working right now, because everybody's desperate to come on and contribute, and it's the reason why as well that people won't be leaving now, because there'll be people that want a winner's medal potentially. Mm-hmm. Do you mean there'll be somebody that's thinking, I might not start every game, but imagine I'm the guy that scores the goal. What if I'm the guy that has the Aguero goal? What if I'm that guy? You're there and a legend for life. There's just, the team is just brimming with confidence, and I've got to say as well, the away end was absolutely bouncing on Saturday. That's exactly what an away end should be. It'll be, hopefully it's the exact same tomorrow. Way the team throughout, even the crowd was confident as well, which I think translates to the team. The team gears confidence, we give them confidence, and you can see us bouncing off each other as well. So hopefully absolutely more of the same tomorrow, Kev.
Yeah, tomorrow it'll be another tough game. Much tougher than what we had on Saturday night. I think we all expect it. Any player who doesn't expect it, go and have a look at past games. Between Hearts and St Mirren, especially at their own place. But I would expect fans, especially Hearts fans, to be going a bit buoyant. 3 points again on Saturday night. We've got the team, as you rightly say, of everybody wants to score, everybody wants to do well, everybody wants to be that key person who makes that pass, scores that goal. So there's no reason why we shouldn't go there with a bit of confidence tomorrow night. But you've also got to do the basics right.
Yeah.
Where you don't have the ball, that's where you've got to get tight. You've got to win your own battle. You've got to do all those little bits. It's great, fine, having all that, brilliance on a Saturday night and winning a game 3-0. But to then, not maybe do the fundamentals simple and easy, and your next game, you've really undone all the good work that you've put through the previous 90 minutes. So it's all about winning battles. It's all about doing the right thing. And for me, I don't change that starting 11. Don't know about you.
No, I don't change the starting 11. The only thing I think they potentially would change was 2 games in 4 days or whatever it is for 3 days for McEntee. Potentially, they maybe be looking to be like, well, actually, Hibs is next week. They might want to rest his legs, potential. And then the only other one is right back. They might look at the physicality of St Mirren and say, actually, we'll take Altina out of the firing line, maybe bring Steinwender in, wherever. They might even put McCart left back and put Harry Milne over that side or whatever, just from a defensive perspective. But like I said earlier, Harry Milne is a left back. Let's keep him
as left back.
Yeah,
the only person I would swap Harry Milne for at left back is Stephen Kingsley.
Yep, I would agree. So, and again, it's like one of those things where the team just look like they're brimming with confidence. So, whatever happens tomorrow, the whole we never showed up type thing that we normally fall into in our Hearts, we might not win, but I don't think we won't show up. We'll definitely give a good account of ourselves. And things like the home game at Tynecastle make a big difference for the psyche of a team. We're down to 10 men and still more than battered St Mirren. That will help. You know, that translates. We've done it loads of times. Like, look at us now. We went seasons without beating Rangers. We beat them twice in the same season. You know, we went seasons without back-to-back victories against Celtic. We're undefeated against Celtic this season. Those little bits make a huge difference. Like, the team be like, well, we've been here. We've been with 10 men and put in a good fight. We were 1-0 down here. Should have been 3-1 down or whatever it was. We get 2-2. We're unlucky not to win it 3-2 with the offside. So those things translate to the plus. So I'm really looking forward to tomorrow.
Yep. It'll be an interesting one, that's for sure.
Well, we've got what? Celtic are away to Aberdeen and Rangers are at home to Kelly.
Aye.
Sadly, the Aberdeen game, Aberdeen are absolute dog meat.
Aye. But, you know, they're stuck in the North Sea at this moment in time, like a drowned rat. So from that point
why
of
is
view,
everybody just ignoring the guy sitting on the bench? Why is Craig Levein sitting on the bench every game? If that is Craig, aye, but people would have lost their mind if Craig Levein did that with Cathro or anything like that. And he's there game after game, the sporting director just sitting on the bench like it's normal.
I think you just make a manager and just let's all have a laugh. It'd be great fun.
Why do they not have a manager as well? Why do they not have a manager?
It's a very interesting. That's been how many weeks?
I know. I don't know what they're.
3 weeks.
I don't know what they're up to. No, I think it's been. Is it more than that?
Is it?
Is it 6 weeks?
Maybe beginning of January. I thought it was the beginning of January, so I was looking at 4 weeks. But you know, clearly things are maybe aren't as rosy. You know, you would thought, do they keep with the boy Levin and you know right through to the end of this season? But they're buying players as well. They've put an offer in for that boy Watson at Kilmarnock. You know, if I was him, for example, I'd be going, well, why am I want to go there? Because I don't even know who the manager's going to be. I don't even know if the manager likes the way I play football. It's a strange situation.
On the Aberdeen podcast. Get out of them and get up all of them. That's it. Right, Kev, let's do predictions for tomorrow. What is your prediction for Hearts versus St Mirren?
I'll go 1-1.
Yeah, same, Kev. Snap. That was easy.
Yep.
Easy. Are you going to Paisley, Kev?
At this moment in time, yes. However, that may change early tomorrow.
Okay. Well, I will see you there then, Kevin.
Good.
Right, troops. We will be back probably normal time, maybe Sunday, but depending on what the results are. Tuesday and Wednesday, we may do a Wednesday night, might do a Thursday night, depending on if results go our way. So we'll let you know. All right. But thanks, Kev. See you soon.
Catch you later, mate.
Gorgy rules.